Uh, I think we can get started. So, Hannah, what do we have on the agenda today?
Awesome. So let's get started with a short introduction and a little information about what this call is about. So, as I said before, we're hosting this event called Build with Guild for the very first time in our guild, and of course, broadcasting to Twitter Spaces per usual. This is a very similar format to what we did lately on our community calls with our special guests on stage. But in this series, we just start today. We are aiming to showcase projects which use the Guild SDK in their own products, in their own projects, just like how the Wonderverse team did, our guests for the day. And in this episode, we'll walk through how Wonder integrated Guild to provide gated access management inside their platform, in Wonderwork workspaces, Wonderverse workspaces. So let's give a warm welcome to our co-hosts of the day, Junie and Andros on stage. Welcome, guys, here with us today. Before we get started, one more thing I wanted to mention is that our community events are recorded and uploaded to our official private library on YouTube. So those who cannot make it to the call can tune in afterwards, and we'll share the links in our guild as soon as it's live. So everybody can tune in. And before like these recordings are live, you can listen back on Twitter Spaces because we're recording there also. Um, Before we go into the depths of wonder, let's get started the first episode with some words on the technical side of Guild, the Guild API and SDK. So basically, our goal is to encourage developers to be creative and build with Guild. So we made our API and SDK available for anyone, and even released our front end and platform connectors as open source. So anyone can find the Guild API and SDK to build on access control strategies. And also, we have a dedicated channel for developers in our guild on our Discord server to contact the team behind Guild or just have a general technical discussion there. So, if anyone interested, I highly recommend you to check that channel. We're really happy to connect there and bring some value into the conversations. And in the meantime, Bernard, if you have anything else to add to this topic, feel free. And I'm gonna post our API and SDK link to the channel, the secret channel.
Yeah, thanks. Maybe just very briefly, because I think it's best to explain everything we want to explain through the great example of Wonderverse and hear their story. But just to give you all a quick overview, I think most of you know us Guild as an application, as a platform to curate communities, to handle access management across different platforms. But kind of in the background, we started making our infrastructure available for developers, which means that for any application, whether they are off-chain or on-chain, kind of the gear technology can be integrated to handle membership areas, handle access management, and it acts as a kind of module which on one hand connects the application to the broader Guild network, kind of helping users on board who already use Guild, and also allowing community structures to access other platforms be connected. So we really think about it as a growing network. Yeah, that's kind of the point. And I think in the future, we are going to pay more and more attention to this growing ecosystem. And personally, to me, like probably one of the most exciting thing in the future of Guild is how we can nurture this ecosystem and how we can empower developers to build with Guild. Yeah. So, but we have like the first or one of the very first great examples here, and I'm so happy that you guys could make it. And we've been knowing each other for a long time, I think in kind of like Web3 terms, probably decades or something like that. And we've been talking about this integration for a while. And I'm really happy that we got there, that you guys actually implemented, and kind of like how it turned out as well. So I'm super happy to have you here. But just to give a little context, like, could you guys give like a short intro about yourselves and especially about the origin story and the mission of Wonderverse?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, we're big fans of Guild, and yeah, we definitely have known each other for decades in crypto terms. So glad we were the first guests on board with Guild. So yeah, I think like just a little bit of context. I'm Andros. I'm one of the co-founders of Wonderverse. I guess the origin story of what we were was like, we kind of like I was sort of got really into NFTs sort of last year, and then that sort of turned into getting into sort of DAO communities like Index Coop and a fair few different DAOs, and then wanting to contribute to those different groups, but like finding it very difficult to, like there was no clear guidelines, it was kind of a mess, but like the energy was amazing and people were like, very passionate. And so we started thinking about how we could help with some of the coordination problems with like more decentralized teams. And so today what we are is basically like the coordination layer for decentralized or Web3 projects. So we kind of help DAOs, NFT projects, gaming guilds, protocols, etc. Manage their proposals, which turns into like managing their projects and tasks, and then helping manage contributors, how they get paid, how they earn reputation, how they find opportunities, things like that. Today, we've worked with over 300 Web3 organizations like Gitcoin, DRDX, Bankless DAO, Merit Circle, Radical, etc. And we have almost 20,000 contributors on Wonderverse. So really just very keen to foster the next stage of growth of organizations in the space. We think like the biggest sort of decentralized organizations will come in sort of the next cycle. And so really keen to see how we can work and interoperate with other kind of Web3 tools to build this future.
Amazing. Andros is an absolute gem. I'm Junie here. I am one of the core team members at Wonder. I work across, content, partnerships, and I just basically help matrix, different entities in the Web3 space. My origin is very similar to Andros's. I became very interested in NFTs, the power of DAOs. As this past year has been just an incredible boom in that specific topic. And despite, the contemporary realities, I love the aspect with Wonder that we're here to build, and we're here to build relationships and create, a new future of work for folks who are wanting to contribute and to operate in the Web3 movement. So.
Yeah, I love that. I was a little bit smiling because there are so many common threads I see among builders I respect a lot. One is that they were drawn into building in the space by curiosity first, and I think that's key. And I also highly recommend everyone who wants to get involved, just like, be present, be curious, and just, find what interests you. And the other thing is kind of like product building is always paired with community building and kind of the community aspect. So I think especially with something like Wonderverse who also builds for the community. So you mentioned that around like 300 organizations like Gitcoin and others are using Wonderverse. I know there are like a few potential different ways to use Wonder. So can you maybe give like one or two examples you particularly like, or kind of something what describes it well, like how an organization uses Wonderverse?
Yeah, I would kind of like, I don't like drawing analogies to Web2, but it's kind of probably the easiest way to help people understand. But you can imagine us being like, the Web3 sort of Jira with all also governance and payments attached to it. So we basically help coordinate work that needs to be done in a community. For example, with DYDX, and a lot of this will go into in terms of like how this is relevant for Guild as well. But a lot of what we think, like, decentralized teams are very different because of a few things. One, because I think a lot of Web2 tools assumes that everyone has the same levels of permissions. So they assume everyone's an employee. In Web3, if you imagine a concentric rings or circles, like you kind of have a core team in the middle, and then on the outer ring, you kind of have like core contributors, and you might have like different tiers of contributions. And then obviously on the outer ring, you just general community members who are there to vibe. And so what we do is like kind of very nuanced permissioning to enable, kind of Discord-like roles that makes it possible for different people to have different sets of like abilities on a platform, like being able to pay out, being able to create tasks, being able to create proposals, gating access to specific workspaces, via tokens, via the Guild XYZ roles, and etc. And for example, with DRDX, we kind of helped their ambassador programs to sort of manage their bounty programs autonomously, and for certain people with the right tokens or the right permissions to get roles to actually like pay like bounties out, to actually manage these bounties, so that like it's not just up to like one person to manage it, but it actually up to like the community to actually help manage. And then we also have a governance aspect where, for a big Korean DAO called AGov, which is probably our biggest community right now, we enable this kind of ability to do closed voting. So just like if you imagine like discourse or a Discord poll, but like you can't see who voted for who, and like this idea of like tying proposals which then become tasks to be worked on to sort of increase the accountability of things to be worked on. So I'd say that's kind of a little bit of what we do.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I'd also like to put in a word with the aspect that it's both kind of a personal as well as a matrixing platform. So being able to create your own workspace and like manage your own work and like, your own passions and goals, while also connecting via the Explore page with dozens of different DAOs that are already in the ecosystem. It allows, seamless kind of DAO to DAO collaboration as well.
Yeah, I like that. It's very. I think you kind of encapsulated the whole spirit of Web3 quite well. That it's single player and multiplayer at the same time, and in the multiplayer mode, you are playing with kind of different teams simultaneously. So like that. One thing we started doing recently on these calls is that we have this secret chamber channel. We are sharing some useful links there, or links relating to the conversation, but also sometimes we do like little polls there. So I'm just gonna type. I'm just interested to have like a little temperature check, like how much of our audience here have ever contributed to a DAO, and I think I'm just gonna put on some voting buttons. Yes, or someone put in a rocket, or no. Yeah, just to have a little bit of idea. Yeah, I think the early majority says they are contributors, so you are in the right audience. So what's and to these people, like what's the best way to get started at Wonder? I guess like first with the single player mode, coming there, checking it out, and then onboarding your community. What's kind of the best practice there?
Yeah, I'd say it obviously depends if you're trying to look to contribute to sort of a Web3 project.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but Andros, are you speaking? I see you are unmuted.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying it kind of depends.
Junie, do you want to jump in?
Oh, I believe Nas, it's on your end. Both Han and I can hear Andros.
Oh, I can hear you guys, but not Andros. Sorry. Dan, go ahead.
No.
I go ahead. I will reconnect myself.
Wait, let me just manage the permissions to get back on stage. Yep, invite to speak. Okay, now it should be all good.
Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, I was just going to say that it depends. If you're a contributor looking to contribute to Web3 projects, I would say, you would want to, if you go to Wonderverse, wonderverse.xyz, you can sign up and then you can immediately go to our explore page to check out like the different sort of bounties or tasks or kind of organizational proposals, etc. on the explore page. Hint, Guild XYZ is on that explore page, and you can play around there. If you're kind of looking to do some organization, you can actually create your own workspace and start kind of like playing around with what like management of a decentralized project might look like. And we have kind of a guide to help you go through that. So those would be the best ways, I think.
Absolutely. We definitely have tons of resources for folks to interact in different ways. And then if you're looking to contribute right away, if you don't have like a DAO set up and you're not an operator yet, you can always join as a contributor, go to the explore page, see what other DAOs are looking for, a plethora of different, contributors in Web3 to do different types of tasks and jobs. You can explore work or explore DAOs. And then we also have our GR15 initiative in DEI that folks can explore, active tasks that are open for folks of all walks of life to interact with and start, just immediately contributing to the ecosystem.
That's awesome. So the people who voted no, I think that's probably one of the best on-ramps to contribution you can ever have. Go to Wonder, look out for the GR15 task and just get started. Cool. Let's talk a little bit about the integration. So I'm interested in kind of your view. Like, what do you see as the Guild integration or Guild in the Wonderverse product suite or ecosystem enables for you, and why you're excited about it if you are?
I think it just obviously like so many communities are already using Guild as kind of the access management. And I think it's super important because as Guild is working, obviously not just to work on like token gated access management, but more, other types of management like Twitter, Google Workspace, those kind of integrations, we're actually able to onboard, people who might not be Web3 native onto the platform more easily. And I think being able to integrate Guild roles or gate by Guild roles is like super important for us. Maybe I should go through talk through a little bit of how the integration works. We'll also share a video of it in the stage chat. But basically, an operator or someone who is an admin of a workspace will be able to set up a sort of connect the guild that they want to connect with based on their address, and then essentially we'll be able to gate roles on Wonder and sort of gate them by roles on Guild XYZ. And so if someone has the prerequisite Guild XYZ role based on their Discord, etc. Or wallet address, they'll automatically be able to join the organization and claim that role, which is I think a really easy way for people to go from a Guild XYZ to a Wonderverse role.
That's pretty cool. Right, and I think Guild is probably useful for the Wonderverse use cases where you want to have like a more kind of private community or a community which is already established, have maybe a certain membership structure, and you can replicate that. But I wonder how do you see kind of open communities versus these more closed communities or gated communities on Wonder? Or yeah, like are there more open ones where you can just jump in and contribute, or more ones where you actually have to kind of earn the membership in some way?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the beauty of it, is that like you don't have to be either or. So like, you know, we have this idea of pods, which kind of represent sort of work streams or sub DAOs, or some people call them guilds within the team. So for example, if you're like if you're let's say you're a DAO, and like you one of your work streams are like engineering and marketing, etc. You might have different guild roles for different pods or work streams, and you can actually on Wonderverse sort of gate each access to each pod by the guild roles. And I think that's really interesting, because like you can make the general organization like a public open thing to contribute to, and then like gate access to a specific pod that you want to be promoted. And I think that's like super important, because you know some things should be public, some things might not need to be public, or you might not want them to be public yet. And I think that's like a really important nuance.
Right, totally. Yeah, I think nuance is key, and with Guild we are also trying to integrate more and more requirement types to define roles and kind of bring more granularity to communities, whether it's something like you contributed to an open source project on GitHub, or that you did a certain on-chain action, or that you verified your Twitter or anything like that. So how do you see this kind of like identity or reputation layers playing a role with Wonder, and if you have any thoughts, like which ones are gonna be important for contribution?
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of being able to integrate with Guild, is that like, you know, communities which use Guild can decide that verification. For example, you know, when if there are people who get a role based on like their Twitter verification or their, as you mentioned, GitHub contribution, we can automatically plug into that. You know, on our end, for example, we would definitely be interested to give people more responsibility as they contribute on the platform. So let's say like, you know, you complete more and more tasks, you earn more and more sort of, maybe it's a donated token or USDC, or it could just be like, you know, we do have like an internal point system that you can use. As you earn like more points by contributing, you might want to be given, you know, a role that gives you more responsibility, or like more of sort of access to different things. And so I think that's like really important. We are, you know, this is a little bit of alpha, but we are about to launch something which makes it so that like completed tasks and projects can be minted as NFTs. Look out for that announcement. But you know, that reputation layer is like really important to understanding, like, you know, because I think it's really important Web3 to onboard people and onboard them from community to actually like being able to contribute. And that's the actual, you know, we ourselves, we've onboarded like at least 3 or 4 people who were sort of community members into like the core team, not just like core contributors, but like core team. And I think that's like an amazing way that Web3 are able to like just encourage collaboration.
To be honest, my personal favorite is that you actually have the Wonder points in your workspaces, because it's the perfect opportunity to onboard more and more people into your workspace without any, you know, really strict payment like setup or anything like this. Because this way, like, you can have more and more people interested in your project, starting contributing on like with a low barrier, and then it can, you know, like evolve into something bigger. So I really like this one, and even how you can download the script, like how many people, how many points they got. It's amazing. I loved it.
Thanks so much. And yeah, totally agreed.
It definitely creates like a very silky smooth like stair step for any contributor, for any organization, to also see their personal progress. I think that's something I value, particularly with Web3 being this new space, even though we all know like one Web3 year is like a dog year, you know, it's like everything happens and it's so fast. There's so many chances to forget to track your actual work. So, and that's how you build your Web3 resume. I think that's another aspect to this reputation layer building, is that it actually directly can influence how folks can see the work that you're doing and understand that you've earned, you know, points, USDC, native tokens towards, you know, actual access to higher level tasks. It's really pointing towards a method for folks to level up within, you know, their kind of specific workspaces.
Yeah. I love the transparency it brings. I think a lot of people are kind of in their non-Web3 lives or non-Web3 work lives or past work lives. They were missing that.
Totally, and you know, as we get more and more into things like decentralized IDs, like DIDs, I know, you know, Guild has an integration with like things like Disco. And that's going to be more and more important for people who are like joining the space or like want to earn reputation and still own their identity. And I think that's like really important in the space.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. Guys, I think we talked a little bit about how people can get started with Wonderverse. Can you link the educational resources in the chat here, or just share it with us that we can link? And is there any other way you know, people should do in their own curiosity quest if they are intrigued by what they heard here?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, please feel free to follow us on Twitter. I know someone's already asking us about mobile. We are going to roll that out soon. That's one of our roadmap goals. And please join our Discord as well. Junie, if you want to link the Discord link there. So, you know, and always my DMs are open at all times on Twitter as well and on Discord. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or feedback. So yeah, we'd love to chat.
And also, speaking about feedbacks and everything, I just want to encourage everyone in the audience, if you have any question to Wonderverse, just feel free to shoot it in the stage chat, so we can ask away and we can get like answers to everything.
I mean, I have also a question for the Guild folks as well. I guess, you know, I think we had like where else do you think we can integrate, and like, you know, what would you like from us? And I'm curious to see like what kind of, you know, integrations you're looking at currently, or like what kind of space you're kind of like very interested in right now.
Yeah, I definitely got intrigued by the NFTs you mentioned. So I think as soon as you have that, we want to build compatibility with that. And I think with that, we can build really nice kind of loops between, you know, Wonder and Wonder through Guild, so that if you earn certain points, how that can level you up, you know, somewhere else through Guild, but also within Wonderverse, and how they can be tied to external reputational signals. So how maybe I can gate a certain workspace or pod or just a task by having certain Wonder NFTs or Wonder points and something else from another protocol, because maybe that's a useful signal for me. So that's kind of like, again, composability and granularity, and just feeding your own kind of data back to you through these reputational layers. I think that's super interesting. And maybe the other one is just to see like how we can bridge the Wonder workspace communities to other platforms through Guild. So if there is a workspace there established and working together, like how you can create the ramp with one click to maybe set up a Telegram chat just for them, or anything else.
Yeah, I love that idea of being able to just like easily create things like Telegram, and especially on, we've been thinking a lot about how to up level people. And so I think the idea about being able to gate, we already enable like gating tasks and pods and general workspace by a specific role. But I think being able to reward people with a role, a guild role, for example, as they complete certain projects is like really important too. So yeah, those are great ideas.
Amazing. We also got a question. I think it's more guild related, but I think we have time. Do you have any plan for creating guilds for influencers? I mean, who has too many followers on Twitter or Instagram can create a guild. I guess like influencers are very much welcome to create their own guild, if that's what you mean. And we are definitely here to support them, because influencers typically mean that they already have a community, and kind of building that community without the constraints of current Web2 platforms. I think that can be a win-win situation for everyone, maybe except the captive Web2 platforms, but I think we are not that concerned about them. But if you think about creating a guild just for influencers, so there is one feature which could be used for that right now, is that with our Twitter integration, you can specify a minimum number of followers a person should have to get a role. So you can set something like, only 10K followers, only people with 10K followers on Twitter can get in a guild. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. That I didn't even think of that. On our end with Wonder in our guild, I think something that we explored early on is for early adopters, because we love, rewarding loyalty and longevity. So one of our roles on guild is the OG role, and it's actually utilizing a POAP system, or a system of POAPs where like if people have those POAPs, they get the OG role, and that gives them different permissions. So another way to think about providing roles is not necessarily always just about contribution, but it's about support and like people who are your biggest fans, and that might be worthwhile for folks who are influencers. Folks who have stayed and tried and true with you along the way. You can use those types of methodologies to reward folks who are your biggest fans, longest fans, etc. And that's going to be more and more crucial with organizations as we continue into the space for more and more time. It's really great to see at a snapshot, who's been there the longest, who's been there like consistently, and being able to have roles associated with that.
100%. Yeah, I'm a big fan of POAPs for community building, exactly for that reason, because whether that's an in real life event or online event, like actually claiming the POAP means that you've been there. At that time, you actually took the effort to participate in some way. We also, in the guild community, or, it's kind of silly to say that the guild, so we are calling it just simply our guild. This is kind of like one dimension of it, this Discord server. But in our guild, we have the guild for all, which is, people cannot really get that anymore because you had to be there. And that's kind of just a nice signal of who our early supporters are. Thanks for all the good insight. I think this is also a good segue to ask Hannah to prepare our POAP. And I'm not sure if you guys saw this or used it at Wonder, but we also built a kind of a little bit more extensive integration with POAP to make it easy to reward people with a POAP at community call. So we are going to do everything here within Discord. While she's setting up, I just want to take the chance to thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I learned a lot from that, and I'm sure the audience also found it interesting and educative. And I really do encourage everyone that if you like Guild, you should also check out Wonderverse, because like how we are looking at communities, how we are looking at product, it's very, very similar. So there's a good chance that if you like Guild, you will like Wonderverse as well. But again, Junie, Andros, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for the kind words, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to see how we continue to work together.
Amazing.
Ditto on that.
Thank you so much, guys.